Trudeau's known as being a very stubborn man, and as of now, we are not getting any indications at all he's gonna step down.
Like most families, sometimes we have fights around the holidays.
If he sticks it out, then the way to get rid of him would be a vote of no confidence in the House of Commons, the Parliament. His gamble, I think, is that the one party that's keeping him in power right now, the polls show that they're also going to be stomped in the election. So it might just be that he limps through the next few months because the people keeping him in power don't want to bring him down. In Canada, party leaders are elected by special conventions of party members, and they only take place every few years. And that is the big difference between Canada and Britain and Australia, where we have seen prime ministers literally ditched overnight. Not going to happen here. It's hard to kind of overestimate the shock this caused.
Yesterday was a gong show at the bottom of a dumpster fire, wrapped up in a cluster.
Chrystia Freeland was his closest ally in cabinet. They were joined at the hip for 10 years. When Trudeau had a really tough job he needed to get done, he would give it to Freeland.
We are a country that is good at finding compromises.
So she led the negotiations on the trade negotiations with the first Trump administration.
Is there such a thing as precedented times? And if so, could we please have some of those?
I went with him on his first trip in November 2015 to Manila for a summit, and he was literally mobbed. I mean, previous prime ministers have been stodgy white men, to put it bluntly. And here you had this young guy who was promising sunny ways. It was Trudeau mania. So you have people very unhappy about rising prices, people very unhappy about the sheer cost of housing. And he's been in power 9 years. And regardless of how good you are, after 9 years, people kind of get a bit fed up with you. The opinion polls have been dreadful for the last 18 months. It's quite clear that if there were an election now, his Liberal Party would be absolutely crushed. Right now, it's just backbench Liberal legislators, and you could argue they're malcontents, they're unhappy they're not in cabinet, fine. But he has a 38-strong cabinet. If any of those people come out and say, we love you, but it's time to go, then it's hard to see how he could continue.
Tariffs will make our country rich.
Well, the stakes are that Donald Trump comes to power on January 20th, promising to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian imports, which would be devastating because Canada is very heavily reliant on the states for its economy. The federal government under Trudeau and the premiers of the 10 provinces in Canada were supposed to unite. The provincial premiers have already come out to say, look, and two of them have used the word chaos. If the various elements of Canadian governments are all on different pages, well, it could get very ugly.
A close ally of Justin Trudeau said Tuesday that the Canadian leader is reflecting on complaints about his leadership. Members of his ruling Liberal Party are unhappy after his Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland abruptly stepped down days ago. Her resignation left Trudeau's government adrift less than a month before a new US administration under Donald Trump could impose crippling tariffs on Canadian goods. But his new finance minister, Dominic LeBlanc, told Canada's CBC that Trudeau had held a special meeting with his parliamentary caucus and listened carefully to their concerns, and he would reflect on it. Trudeau gave a light-hearted nod to the turmoil at a Liberal Party event Tuesday night.
It's hard not to feel happy when we're like this, among Liberals, among family, because that's what we really are, a big family. Now, like most families, sometimes we have fights around the holidays. But of course, like most families, we find our way through it.
Freeland was a key Trudeau ally. She also served as Deputy Prime Minister and had headed a special cabinet committee on Canada-US relations. Her resignation is building up to one of the worst crises Trudeau has faced since taking power in 2015. And comes when he is on track to lose the next election to the Conservatives in late 2025. Pressure is growing on Trudeau to resign. The traditionally pro-Liberal Toronto Star, the largest circulation newspaper in Canada, ran an editorial Tuesday saying it was time for him to leave. Another Liberal parliamentarian said separately that Trudeau was delusional if he thought he could fight the next election. To add to the party's woes, the Liberals badly lost a special election in British Columbia recently. If Trudeau does resign, it will set off a Liberal leadership race that Freeland could join. She sent an email to party volunteers on Tuesday saying this will not be the end of the road, but gave no details.